very much, Dean Clark. And to our graduates, family members, friends, faculty, and staff, it is my honor to be a part of this graduating ceremony in recognition of the many accomplishments achieved by our 2016 graduating class. Let's give them an applause. Now, I can't imagine the intensity of emotions that must be filling this room from our graduates as they reflect on this next chapter of their lives. And I remember the very day that I walked in your shoes. And I remember feeling emotions of excitement, but also fear, but most importantly, that seminal pride. And I remember being so well prepared by Florida State University to be successful in the profession of social work, and knowing that that Florida University degree would open many, many doors for me as I started out my career. Now for you, this graduating time comes during a great divide within our country. And despite the many challenges that we face as a nation, there are also many, many opportunities. And a promise for a brighter America filled with countless opportunities. And I'll share with you that I was reviewing some stats with the Department of Labor. And I'm a proud social worker, and those who know me will tell you I am a proud Florida State College of Social Work graduate. And so I do a lot of marketing for the university because I think it's the best social work program in the nation. And so, but I remember looking at these stats with the Department of Labor, and what stood out was that the social work, our career is one of the fastest growing career paths in the United States. And it was predicted that between the years of 2012 and 2022, that social work would grow by 19%. And you know what I said? People finally get the value of a great social work education. I can tell you it's one of the most universal degrees that you can have. And in terms of employability, everybody wants to hire an individual that has been exposed to all that we get exposed to in this career path. Now, when I started at Florida State University many, many years ago, I will not give you the year, don't want to date myself, but I had the distinguished honor of representing the first generation of graduates for my family. And I just want to share a little bit about my upbringing because I think it'll put it in perspective. So I had an older sister. She was 2 years ahead of me, and she was a brainiac. Now, I enjoyed living in her shadow. I was shy and, didn't have a voice and quite socially awkward. But my sister was the valedictorian of her high school and was a cheerleader and graduated in 1989 from Florida State University. And see, now I dated myself. At any rate, so I had a lot of pressure on me to follow pursuit, right? I was going to be the second person within my family to graduate with a college degree. And that was not going to be an easy task for me because, again, I was by no means my sister. So, but I remember the first day that I stepped foot on Florida State's campus and the feeling of being totally overwhelmed, believing that this was way over, too big of a thing to even accomplish, and also struggling with not having yet figured out what was my talent. I would joke around with my sister and I said, I must have been absent the day that God was passing out talents because I haven't figured that out yet. And I remember my mom always reminding me that everybody has a purpose in life. And you keep on pursuing it. And at some point, God's going to reveal for you that talent that you're seeking and desiring. And so, fast forward, I ended up my first year, again, not really knowing exactly what this college experience was going to be like. And I remember hearing some students talk about this career planning class that you could take. And there were two reasons I wanted to take that career planning class. Probably the most important was because I had heard on campus that it was like a GPA booster, and it was an easy A. So I'm like, okay, so I have to take that one. But I really wanted to take this career planning class to kind of figure out, to help me figure out, where were my strengths? How could I give back to society? Where could I have added value? And prior to taking the class, I felt like, I'll do these assessment tests and it'll probably kind of direct me towards the field of legal work or maybe even nursing. But whenever I kept taking these assessments, it kept revealing for me a profession in social work. And so that intrigued me. So I started to kind of do more and more research. What is this whole social work thing about? And I think for me, having grown up in a family with siblings who excelled in many, many things and not really having a voice, for me, what intrigued me the most about the profession of social work was that now I would have an opportunity to help others overcome their challenges in life, to help others find their voice, and to help others be successful. And that was something I could get my arms around. And that was something that really excited me. And that started me out eagerly excited to be a part of the College of Social Work. Now, I remember when I first was accepted into the program, excited to learn everything there was to learn about social work. I remember taking a class, a course on family dysfunction. Now I'm going to share a little bit about my family because at this point, up until the very moment I took that class, I came from the perfect family, right? There was no dysfunction in my family. And so, from my perspective, I grew up with, both my mom and my dad, and they were working class citizens. They had never gone off to school, but were hard workers and made a decent living. I remember very distinctly my dad on Friday nights, drinking with his buddies and playing poker and allowing the kids to just run around and have all sorts of fun. Kind of all those things that in the field of child welfare would probably have gotten us involved in the system. And then I also remember my mom, keeping us away from my dad on Saturday mornings because he had to sleep off his drunken stupor, and it wouldn't be wise to wake him on that Saturday morning. And so that was pretty routine in our household. And I remember my dad going to work every day, but in this course of family dysfunction, I think they would describe him as a functional alcoholic. So I was like, wow, my dad's a functional alcoholic. So, and then I also remember Sundays where we were tortured into going to church Sunday morning, Sunday afternoon, Sunday nights, but that was our routine in our family. And for me, it was the greatest family to be a part of. But when I sat in this family dysfunction class, I remember going back to my dorm that day and calling my sister and saying, "Did you know our family was dysfunctional?" And she's like, "What are you talking about?" And I was like, "We're not just a little dysfunctional, we're like major dysfunctional." And I'm like, I am not even sure how we made it out. But, so that was kind of our little joke, and that was my little education lesson for my family, who was completely unaware, as I was, about the degree of dysfunction that existed in our household. So, I'm going to fast forward, and right prior to graduation, which I hope that this has changed, I remember my senior year, I'm going to do an internship. Now, back during my days, an internship wasn't paid. You got like your college credits for it. So I'm not sure if that's changed at all. Maybe it's the same. But I remember thinking, you're going to have to work 40 hours for free? And being told, well, it's not for free, you're going to get college credit for that. So, and thinking that that was an amazing trade-off. So I did graduate as expected, on time, a couple years after my sister had graduated from Florida State University. And now it was time for me to enter the workforce. And at the time, I thought it would be wise to take residency in Tallahassee, not realizing that social workers who were coming out of Florida State University were also taking up residency in Tallahassee. Now, when I graduated with BSW, right? And I remember wanting to work for Appalachia Center for Human Services. And they had this neat position. It was an inpatient drug abuse counselor. Now, I remember applying for that position and not even getting a phone call back. But, you know, I was taught by my mom to never give up, so I kept on applying and applying and applying. And not hearing anything back. So then I remember they posted a position for a mental health technician. Now, back then, those jobs were going for $4.99 an hour. And I remember saying, hey, it's an opportunity for me to get in within this wonderful organization, of which, when I am successful, I will prove to them my value and my worth for that counselor position. And I remember going to the interview, and there was a panel, and I just can't imagine why there would be a panel of people interviewing me for a $4.99 an hour job. But there was a panel, it was very formal, and I remember them sharing with me that the MSW students were also, or graduates were also applying for this position. And I'm thinking, and I said to that panel, well, let me tell you, I am a proud BSW graduate, and those MSW graduates are not going to stick around long for $4.99 an hour. So, long story short, I was able to get that mental health technician position, and 6 months later, was able to prove my value to the organization and landed that counselor position that I was so desperately seeking. And I learned a great and valuable lesson with that first job experience. I could have chosen not to even give that mental health technician position a single thought, right? It was beneath me. I had a college degree. I'm not going to work for $4.99 an hour. But all I could see was opportunity. All I could see was a vision that was much broader than that mental health technician position. And all I needed was to get in that door, and I could tell you the rest will be history. Why? Because I was well prepared by Florida State University to be successful in a profession of social work.